Hey, how is everybody? I'm so excited to talk about a few more big ideas from my book, Closing the Confidence Gap, Boost Your Peace, Your Potential, and Your Paycheck. If we haven't met yet, I'm Kelli Thompson. I'm a women's leadership coach. I'm a speaker, and I'm the author of this book, Closing the Confidence Gap. If you've been joining me the last few Tuesdays, I've been sharing big ideas from this book. As you notice, the subtitle of the book is Boost Your Peace, Your Potential, and Your Paycheck. And so I've been breaking down ideas just from the core of the book, Closing the Confidence Gap. And then I've been breaking down ideas on how to boost your peace at work, how to boost your potential at work. And then today I'm going to talk about how to boost your paycheck at work, which I think hopefully is everybody's favorite topic, in that we're going to talk about money. So if you're here, drop me an emoji, give me a heart or a like, just let me know that you're all here. And I'm excited to talk about some of these topics. And if you have questions, you can absolutely pop those in the comments too, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on replay. So I want to talk about the last two chapters of the book. And as we've made our way through, because it officially launches next Tuesday. And the last two chapters of the book are chapter 8, which is Know Your Worth and Make Your Ask. And then the final chapter of the book, chapter 9, is Take Brave Next Steps. And so in the book, chapter 8, Know Your Worth and Make Your Ask, really has two of the biggest ideas that I want to talk about today. And the first one is the gender pay gap. And for those of you who may not be aware, whether you're in corporate America, or I even see this in entrepreneurial and in service professions, women make more than men. Or excuse me, men make more than women. I need to land that point. Men make more than women. In fact, the US Census Bureau has found that on average, women are paid about 82 cents for every $100 that a man makes. And, this really impacts women of color, because if you're a Black woman, it's less. It's closer to 60 to 70 cents. If you're a Native American or Hispanic, it's even less. And so it's really important that we continue to bring more awareness to this gender pay gap issue, which I talk about in the book. And this is perpetuated for a couple of reasons. One, there just continues to be, because men have always been paid more than women, that when you put your starting salary, like if let's just say that you go and you apply for a job and they ask you what you made in your current role. Some organizations are outlawing this, but some states are outlawing this, but some states still permit it. And so when men have always been paid more than women, they're going to tend to have a higher salary history than women. And so when people are basing offers off of previous salaries, it continues to perpetuate the issue that they're going to continue to pay a man more than they would pay a woman. I even see this though in entrepreneurial and in service industries where, even in my own practice, when I was setting my prices and I went out and I was like, well, what do other coaches charge? Men tended to charge more than women. And, some of the data behind this, and I saw this because I used to be in HR and I used to do recruiting and oversee an HR department, is that men just tended to ask for more than women. Women often told themselves a story, and we've talked about imposter syndrome and some things in this series, that women believe that because they don't meet all the qualifications, or because they feel like they need to go back to school or do something, that they tend to rationalize a lower salary. And I saw this as an HR person. I saw that men's starting salary requirements were much higher than women's. And men negotiated 4 times more than women do. That's the data that was found. And I can validate that as being an HR person. And when they do negotiate, men still ask for more than women do. And so there is definitely a mindset issue here. And I don't think that that's far off from the confidence gap study that I talked about in the very first live I did for this book, that just talked about how men have just been brought up with the ability to generally have stronger advocacy conversations than women have. But the gender pay gap is real, and it affects a woman's psychological well-being at work, especially when she finds out a male counterpart has been being paid more than she has. And so in this book, I, make a call for organizations to evaluate their pay equity policies. Ways that you can actually write to your local government, like I have, about removing the requirement to put starting salaries and job applications, which can perpetuate the issue. And so this definitely does start at a systemic level in making sure that we are closing that pay gap and making equal pay for equal work. The second big idea that I talk about is, and there is some onus on us as women to start having the right conversations. And I argue that there are 5 money conversations that women should have to help close the gender pay gap and continue to advocate for themselves and others. And this comes from my years of experience as an HR person. I actually spent a good deal of time in the financial industry. And so there's some financial advice in here. But the first one is we really need to, as I said, start challenging the systems. Start challenging the systems of, are we paying women less than men? One of the ways that I've challenged the systems is I've written to my local government asking them to, writing in support of a bill that would ban the ability to have employers make folks list their previous salaries when applying for a job. Because again, it perpetuates that issue if you are continually underpaid, which is very frequent if you're a woman or a person of color. So I say there's 5 money conversations that a woman should have. We already talked about challenging the systems, noticing their self-talk, negotiating their salary, evaluating their savings, and asking for support. And so along with challenging the systems, I want women to start to notice the self-talk. And I give tools, and in fact, throughout this whole book about noticing your self-talk and some of the scripts that I heard even from women's mouths when I was an HR person. And honestly, I've said these things myself, right? Things like, I probably shouldn't ask for the full salary amount because I only meet 8 of 10 of the qualifications. And so I should, I kind of justify that I should ask for a little less. Like, don't do that. I see women do that all the time. I saw it in HR. I see it as a coach when we're talking about salary offers and what they think they might ask for. Men do not think this way. The next thing, so challenging the systems, noticing your self-talk, negotiating your salary. One of the things that I want you to know from someone who's been on the other side of this as an HR person, I know that it can feel scary to negotiate your salary because there's just lots of things like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to be pushy. What are they going to think? This feels uncomfortable. But men are, like I said, they will negotiate their salary 4 times more than women. And as someone who is an HR person, talking about money is like talking about the weather. So I know that it can feel scary to negotiate your salary, but what I want you to know is that as HR people, we are ready and prepared to talk about money. Talking about money is like talking about the weather for us. Like, it's our job. So we're waiting for you to talk about money. And so you negotiating as part of your, hiring process and like setting, starting salary requirements is literally just day in, day out work for us. So I just want to kind of just normalize this conversation about money, and that HR people talk about money all day long. And at some point you just get kind of immune to it, right? It's just part of the process. The other money conversation that I advocate that women have is to evaluate their savings. Like, I was in the financial advice industry. I know my husband's a financial advisor, but women have quite a bit less money saved than men, even though research shows they are better investors. And actually, we're going to live a little bit longer. So we have to, make our savings last a little bit longer. And one of the things I point out in the book is that when you are consistently underpaid as compared to your male counterparts, you're actually getting less savings. So if you have a company funded 401k, and your company matches 3%, and you're making less than your male counterpart, you are getting less free matching money than your male counterpart. And so again, it just perpetuates that issue. And so I encourage you all to not be afraid of looking at your bank accounts, looking at money, talking to a financial advisor. Like, there is no prerequisite to work with a financial advisor. In fact, many organizations have like financial well-being benefits, or they have, advocates or people that you can talk to, in regards to your 401k investments, et cetera. But talking about money is, an essential part of having the right amount of savings, not only for, your life today, but for retirement as well. And so we can't be afraid to have the savings conversation with our partners, with our workplace, or with our financial advisors themselves. And then the last one is to ask for support. And so a lot of money comes in non-monetary ways, in a way. And so one of the statistics I talked about in this book is that men get 22% more opportunities for leadership development training. They are more likely to be picked for leadership development opportunities and less likely to have to ask for that opportunity. And so how does that impact money? Well, one, the organization is paying money to send men to coaching, to leadership development, et cetera. And because of that support, they are more successful which encourages them along their career path to higher paying roles. So it's like a double whammy. Not only are they getting money for development, but that development in turn prepares them for a more successful career, which earns them more money. And so I advocate, like, for women, well, both ways. Organizations need to pay attention to who they're funding for leadership development programs and make it even. And women can also have a money conversation by asking for support. All the time when women come through either my group leadership program or work with me one-to-one, I ask them, is your organization paying for this? Because there's no harm in asking your organization to pay for leadership or career coaching. Like, it benefits you as the employee because you develop confidence and advocacy and all of these skills, and the organization benefits from your clear and confident leadership. So those are the 5 money conversations I really encourage folks to have. And then the third big idea from this book comes from chapter 9, which is take your bravest next step. And there's a section of chapter 9 that talks about clarity. In fact, one of my favorite mantras is success loves clarity. Because oftentimes I think we try to hustle to try to get what we want. We work really, really hard. And if I just work really hard, people will notice. If I just go out and do all these things, people will notice. You know, we hustle and we hustle and we hustle, when actually clarity beats hustle every single time. Because the more clear we are about what we want, then, like, people know how to help us. Like, the universe knows how to send help our way. In fact, when I work with women who are looking for a new role, I ask them, who have you told? They're like, nobody, right? But the minute they get clear on, you know, what they want, and they start putting that ask, hey, I'm looking for this. Hey, I need this. All of a sudden, like, things just start to happen. Like, the wheels get in motion. I think lots of times we think, well, if I just work really hard and put my head down and I hustle, then people will just know what I want and need, and I'll get rewarded for it without having to ask. But in fact, if we're just clear about what we want and we can make clear asks, which I give scripts to do in this book and in the toolkits you can download, but really talk about the importance of clarity in the ask, you might be surprised on how quickly some of these things start to happen for you simply because you focused on clarity, not hustle. So the 3 big ideas from the last 2 chapters of this book are that we really need to pay attention to the gender pay gap. And if you're in a position at work, to advocate for the close of the gender pay gap. And you can do that by asking organizations what their compensation philosophy is, or even writing to your local government, like I did, asking them to remove requirements about submitting previous salary in job applications so we don't perpetuate the issue of being underpaid every time someone takes a new role. I encourage you to have 5 money conversations. I want you to notice your self-talk. I want you to challenge the systems. I want you to negotiate your salary. I want you to evaluate your savings, and I want you to ask for support. And then finally, success loves clarity. So giving you tips on how to make clear asks. Remember that clarity, being clear about what you want and need, beats hustling for it every single time. So this book launches in a week, November 1st. I'm so excited. You can find it anywhere books are sold, audiobook, ebook, you know, whatever your favorite form is for you. I'd love your support. And if there's someone else you think that would love this book, then definitely share this with them. But I'll be back here next week. I'm actually going to be talking to my book launch coach about the launch of this book. She's going to be interviewing me, so that'll be lots of fun. But again, November 1st, you can find it anywhere books are sold, Closing the Confidence Gap. And I hope to see you next week. And if you want to watch any of these on replay, you can head over to my YouTube channel where I have all the replays that you can watch to get a little more insights on the book. So have an awesome day. I'd love to hear from you in my DMs if you have any questions, and I will see you all again soon.